Hello and welcome to Pest in Class, expert voices in pest management. Today we dive into Ignite 2025, FieldRoutes annual user conference happening September 15th through the 17th in Anaheim, California. Our very own Director of Client Success, Ray Honey, joins us to reveal Ignite's standout features, specific sessions you won't want to miss, valuable tips for first-time attendees, and so much more. To learn more or register for Ignite 2025, simply check the link in our show notes. My name is Amanda Salvatore. Let's get into it. Ray Honey, you are the Director of Client Success here at FieldRoutes, and today we are discussing Ignite 2025, happening September 15th through the 17th in Anaheim, California. You will hear from over 50 industry and thought leaders and be able to attend over 60 product training and learning sessions. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Of course, anytime. Honestly, I think you're a little bit late. I should have been like episode 1 or 2. In my opinion, it's Pest in Class, but I mean, it's okay. Better late than never.
Exactly. I'm so excited to have you here today because we get to talk about Ignite and you have such a close connection to that event. But first and foremost, we always like to do a little bit of an icebreaker so we can get to know you even better. So if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Honestly, I'm thinking super speed. The Flash is my favorite superhero. And I think with the ability to have speed as like he can, to go back in time and just change all those events, there's nothing you couldn't or couldn't do. And then I like to travel a lot and I could save on gas, airplane miles, all that waiting in line. So we could just run there real quick.
We're all about efficiency here at FieldRoutes, so
Absolutely.
This tracks. Excellent. So Ray, what is your role at FieldRoutes? And I have to ask, what do you enjoy most about the job?
So Director of Client Success, as you said. So my role is I oversee 2 customer success teams that are divided in half. I won't get into the gritty, nitty details of that, but essentially my team give white glove service, as we like to call it, to our clients. But I really like to look at it as more of relationship management. A funny saying I like to tell clients when I go on site is, I want your CSM to be so close to your business that when a random CSR is getting married, the CSM gets a wedding invite. I really want them knowing what your company goals are, because it's their job to ensure that you use the FieldRoutes platform or any of our third parties to reach those company goals. So they're there to show you, why the system is valuable for you, any new features that come along, making sure you're taking advantage of them, and also to just help you with workflows. Like maybe you found your groove and you've been doing the same thing the same way for years. They're here to help you get more efficient and change some of those things around.
Now, I know you've been with the company for a while now, since 2018, and when it was just a little baby startup. So I have to ask, what was it like in the early days?
Oh, man. Well, it was definitely a new experience that I've never been a part of before. I'm not sure if I'll ever get a chance to be a part of something like that again, but you can imagine just like 50 people crammed into one office suite. And when I say crammed in, I mean literally sales was right here. I was in implementation at the time when I started, but my back was next to the salesperson. So, I'm on a phone call with a customer. I might have to turn around and say, like, I know you're making your sale, but can you calm down a bit while I go through this training? like it was very much, I could reach out and touch like the manager of support. It was like really, really intimate in that space. But I liked it because it was very much so bootstrap in the sense of, hey, if you needed something done, you just went and did it. And not a lot of, okay, we need to make sure we talk to this person, we need to talk to this person, because there's only so many people. And if I needed to go, knock on my boss's door, knock on the CEO's door, for example, I see him in his office right now, so I could just go in and do it. And it made everybody build a culture of just teamwork. There wasn't a lot of, if something went wrong, because it's a startup, things go wrong all the time. It wasn't a lot of, hey, you did this, you did that. No blame game. It was more of like, oh, hey, this is a situation, guys. How do we fix it? We fix it. And then afterwards, we can go back. Okay, maybe we should do it this way. Maybe we should have a process to do this. But it was a lot of teamwork. And it's something that I love. And honestly, it's something that I see continue through the fabric of FieldRoutes today.
I do too. This idea of teamwork really kind of just has us flow right into what Ignite is all about. Mm-hmm. I know most people here listening probably have an idea what Ignite is, but just in case, how would you explain Ignite to my mom or dad. I think my dad has has listened to the podcast a few times. So just in case he's listening today, how would you describe Ignite?
Ignite is going to be a community event where everybody has a common goal of getting better, and everybody shares techniques on how they get better, what works for them in their different areas, because they're from all over the nation. So what may work for you on this side of the country may not work for me, but there's some common ground we can meet in the middle. And then a lot of these companies, which I really love about the pest control industry and just the green industry in general, it's a lot of family owned businesses, a lot of people who just decided like, hey, I'm going to go in this trade, and they've made all the mistakes you can possibly think of, but they've also gotten a lot of things right that have gotten to where they are today. And they all love sharing their stories together. So you're going to hear a lot of great stories about what it was like coming up through the ranks, what went wrong, what went right. And they're always open to sharing that communication. So just a community event where you're going to learn a lot and build some new relationships.
What makes Ignite different from other user conferences, would you say?
When I think of a user conference, I think of tech company gets on stage, says, hey, we got this brand new feature coming out. This is going to be great. You guys are all going to love it. They have some demo stations where people can get a small hands-on glimpse of it, and then everybody goes home. Ignite is way more intimate than that, in my opinion. There will be some of that, of course, a little bit of, hey, we have this coming new and we can't wait for you guys to try it. But we go over a lot of existing things that you just maybe haven't had a chance to sit with. And in those sessions, there's going to be like-minded peers, just the community part with it. And I like them because they're very open in feedback. Like, for example, and I might be getting a little bit ahead, but last year I ran a panel on scheduling. And with that, I just asked some of our high users, hey, what do you do in this part of the software? How do you get this done? And with it in our group, I allowed for questions in there as well. So if they gave an answer like, hey, I like to go about it this way, in real time, your peers can ask you, oh, well, what made you think of it like this? We actually are in this type of environment in the country. This is how we want to go about it. And we can just get that real communication back and forth and open people's eyes to new ways of doing things, which I think is a way more collaborative experience than what you would normally see at a user conference.
Yeah, you kind of went into this a little bit, but what are some of the offerings attendees can look forward to for this year?
When you kicked it off, you definitely mentioned that we have over 60 different sessions for people to be a part of, and that covers both landscape and pest side. So no matter what industry that you're in, we have something for you. Trust me, we do. But we also have a lot of things geared on the pest side when in terms of efficiency. That's what I'm noticing this year. And it's probably going to be the word that we use around for the pest things this year. So I'm coming back again with a scheduling panel. Hope to see all of you there. You better be there if you're watching this episode. But I have another panel that I'm very interested in. It's about scaling. And Nick from our Pathfinder network is running that one, which I think will be really nice to just help companies figure out how you get from maybe you're a mom and pop and you got about 2 trucks and you're running right now. Well, how do you grow that to more of a small business where you have 5 or so techs? And how do you even get that even further to enterprise? So good information there as well. There's always going to be things on trigger rules, which I think is really nice. We also are going to have things on scheduling, which is huge. And then the sales app. Door knocking is our bread and butter. FieldRoutes. It's how the company was started, off of our sales application. And that's something that we're constantly making updates to and trying to get just right for you guys. So I think those will probably be really impactful.
I think one of my favorite offerings as well, the opportunities at the community garden.
Oh, yes.
I think it's an excellent resource for our customers when it comes to communicating with us. Can you tell us a little bit about the community garden?
Oh, absolutely. So that is where you'll probably find me most of the time, to be honest with you guys. So the community garden is an area where we'll have the customer success managers and we'll have some support representatives really just there for you to help you with any questions that you might have. Maybe you send an email over and you haven't been getting the responses that you need, for example, or just taking time is more so what I'm getting at for that. You can get it in person. We'll be right there for you. And you get a chance to actually put a real live face to the virtual person you've been speaking to over Zoom when it comes to your CSM. Last year, I saw a lot of great interactions. I know one of our CSMs was at a table with a client for about, 2 or 3 hours just going through it, like laptop side by side. Client was sitting crisscross applesauce in her seat. So I was like, oh, they're really getting to it over there. But that's what it's for. It's for us to dive into the software with you, get all your questions answered, and help you get on the right path if you aren't.
What a great resource. Another resource that you mentioned to me previously when we were speaking was the Birds of a Feather luncheon.
Yes.
This is just an excellent event, I think. Can you tell our listeners what the event is and why these sort of informal networking opportunities really hold a lot of value as much as a formal session would?
Birds of the Feather networking luncheon is where If I had to put it in a short sentence, I would call it speed dating for networking, basically. So we had different clients assigned a different number, and the number was for a table for you to go to. And it was to mix it up so you weren't there with people from your company, of course, to introduce you to others from other walks of industry. So not just pest, for example, you might be introduced to somebody from landscape. And it was set up to be informal. It was during lunchtime, so everybody was eating. And after eating, of course, being able to talk, who doesn't want to speak over meals and just share great stories? I think that's where we get a lot of our information from. We sit down, have a meal with somebody and just talk, for example. And it's easier for you in that laid back, informal setting to kind of take off the work hat and just be a person and go back and forth on what works for you. And I think the reason why we did it in such an informal setting is because our industries are so small. It is very rare that I have a conversation with one pest company and then within a month or so, the rest of the pest companies don't know, which is something that we don't mind, by the way. It's actually something we encourage because there's a lot out there and there's a lot of things we don't know. And that it's always different ways that you want to spread information. And I think word of mouth is some of the best. We always trust people that we know when it comes to moving in a new house and we need an electrician or we need pest control, for example. We typically call our friends and say, hey, who do you use? Are they good? What's the pricing? What's et cetera, et cetera? And you go from there. So setting up the birds of the feather networking luncheon is to try to mimic that a little bit. To just get them to let their guard down a bit and just explain it and talk about different scenarios. And I've seen a lot of great feedback from there. Sometimes we'd pop in. I know I saw some of our directors pop in, sit at some tables and just hear what was going on. We like to be more flies on the wall than jump in and try to dominate conversations. There's a lot of sessions where you get chances to interact with us, but the birds of the feather is really more so for them.
I love the idea of this luncheon, not only because you get to exchange information, but it also is an opportunity for those who may be a little bit more reserved or a little more shy to have that opportunity to meet some new faces without having to go out on a limb or insert themselves. We're doing it for them. We're changing it up, and they're meeting people that they normally wouldn't if they were just milling about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the goal. It can be uncomfortable to just randomly walk up to somebody like, hey, I have a business. You have a business. Let's trade secrets. Like, it doesn't really work. But if we're already just naturally at a table, I'm not as on guard because, hey, we're here. And not that we have to be here, but we are here. So like, hey, you spent the money to come out to Ignite. I did too. So like, we're next to each other. Why make it awkward? Let's at least say hi. And then I think injecting food also, after eating for a while, it relaxes. You're not walking around as hangry, for example.
It's true. At least there's a nosh or two as well. That's actually what I was like, you know what? If there's food, I'll show up,
Exactly.
So I know that you are hosting your own panel. And you mentioned it previously. I would love to hear more details about that panel.
Oh, absolutely. So last year, it was my first time hosting a panel at Ignite, and it was a scheduling panel, which went off like it's a hit. So we decided to remix it and bring some new faces into it. So it'll be myself, Dan Farah from Rid Pest Control, Kyle Sebek from All You Need, and then Marcus, formerly from Action, but is part of the AXN team, which is a group that we're going around helping pest control companies. It's been really nice to see all of the work they've been able to put in. And I want to go over scheduling again, but not the repeat of what we did last year. I want to understand it from their different markets and then see how they're taking advantage of some of the new tools we have out there in place. For example, last year, we didn't have OSRM widely available, which whenever you use one of our features to see like what stop is closest to the next, we now have turn-by-turn directions. So when you're looking at the map, you can see the path that your tech is actually taking instead of it being as a crow's fly, as we call it, where it's just that straight line. So it's a little bit more hands-on and better in terms of routing for our clients. And I want to see how they're putting that into play, for example. And then just also how they collaborate when it comes to a lot of the splits we've been seeing. So what we've noticed, because again, door knocking is our bread and butter, but what we've seen lately in the industry, that it's been a lot of mergers and acquisitions happening. Or what I've noticed is that certain offices will get really big. Let's take where I'm from, for example. I'm in the Dallas area. An office in Dallas will get really, really big. So we'll split it and we'll create two offices in Dallas to just better bandwidth for the clients to handle. And I would love to know, just from an industry perspective, how are we handling routing at that point? Like, I have Dallas West and I have Dallas East now. Are we splitting it just like that? Are we having issues where things are going cross back and forth and we don't really want that? Like, how are our companies handling that? And I think it'll be really great information for them to share with their peer group as a whole.
I have had Dan, Kyle, and Marcus on the podcast before.
Oh,
All
nice.
excellent episodes. I really, honestly, like, what a powerful panel with those three guys. I think that is a must see for this event, especially if you are thinking of expanding. And routing is just so imperative to efficiency and running a good business. So I think this is an excellent event to attend. Are there any other panels that you are on the lookout for that you would suggest people check out?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier briefly, but Nick, one of our leaders of the Pathfinder Network, he's running a panel on scaling your business, which is another pest industry expert panel, which I think will be really nice. I'm not going to leak who he has on his panel. I just think you all should go. I think you're really, really, really going to like that one. And then there's some that are just near and dear to my heart. The trigger rules panel, I'm just a big fan of trigger rules, which is basically automations in the system. So for example, say you complete an appointment, you can set up a trigger to fire off a message, thank you for your service, and do a whole bunch of different things. For example, we always expand that area of the software because we want to automate some processes for you guys. So I always look forward to that one. We have a big one on bundles because that's a feature that we released fairly soon. I want to say that was probably earlier this year that we released bundles. So that's one that everybody's very, very interested in. So I would definitely make sure you go and check that out. And then, of course, I mean, come see me. Me everywhere. That's the main thing.
So, for those who are considering attending Ignite for the first time, what would be your advice to them about making the most of their time?
Well, if you haven't gotten your tickets, shame on you. Get them now. That is the main thing. But book out all the travel. Prices get more expensive the closer we get to the event. The main thing that I would encourage everybody to do, there's an application. Last year's the Cvent app. I believe it's still the same name, so it shouldn't be too hard for you guys to find it again. In that application, if any of you have ever been to Disney, it kind of works like reserving rides at Disney. You can sign up for the sessions that you would like to attend. You can also see who's going to be leading those sessions. If there's any guests, it'll give you that information as well. And it'll be a short blurb about what the session is about. So you can kind of see the different areas that you want to go to and make sure that you hit. Of course, we want you exploring the vendor floor, seeing all of our vendors. We want you to walk around and see what session you may not have saw in the apps that you can walk into. But I think planning out your day that way will at least get you started on the right course. That's the main piece of advice that I would give people. And then also, it's in Anaheim, California. The weather should be great. Like, enjoy yourself. It's a great time out.
I would suggest to bring a colleague or two with you so you
Yes.
can divide and conquer. There's so many opportunities to network and to learn that you can look at the app, see what's happening that day, and then meet up in middle of that day, trade notes, and then get back to it. And it might not feel as overwhelming that way. I also would suggest that if there are any key takeaways that you want to take back to your team, do it in small bites. Something where you're like, this is a key takeaway that I want to implement in the business. Pick one, two, or maybe three tops of things you want to bring back to your team to start implementing. I think more than that, it becomes overwhelming, and then you're not able to maybe see it through or accomplish that goal. Little bites, and then being able to allocate one of those action items to a team member, if possible, is another great way of holding yourselves accountable and taking what you learned from Ignite back to your team and really being able to utilize it in its full capacity. I'm so excited. And I think that all of these panels, there's just so much. There's just so much. It's so hard to pick what you really want to do. But like I said, if you bring a team member or two, you get a little bit more out of it. Now, I know that you said enjoy yourself a little bit. Let's talk about Ignite the Night. Speaking of enjoying ourselves, what is Ignite the Night? It's super cool, but also it's important, I think, as well.
Yeah. Ignite the Night is where we get to let our hair down a bit. After the first welcome session, everybody gets their badges, a little bit of swag, because we like to give out some swag, of course. Get introduced to the sessions. We have our opening keynote, just to get you guys settled in and ready for the events of Ignite itself. That first night, we have, just to put it plainly, a party to celebrate the year, celebrate how the season's gone. This will be in September, so this will be towards the end, latter back half of the busy season for all of you guys. So just celebrate for all the hard work that you put in over the summer. Food available, drinks available. Don't drink too much, guys. But have a blast. Lots of music. We'll all be there, of course. You'll see all the employees. It'll be a good chance for you also to network again. but in a way, way more laid back session. We put on a show for Ignite Tonight. I can't encourage that any more than I already have. I think the first Ignite Tonight I was a part of was in Vegas at Brooklyn Bowl, which was awesome. And then we had another one at Hard Rock in Orlando last year, and I can't wait to see where this one is at. I purposely kind of hide myself on the venues from Ignite Tonight because I just want to be surprised like everybody else whenever we go, but it's always a great time.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Last year was so much fun, and I had an awesome opportunity to talk to so many customers and really get to know them. And I just love the event, and it's also fun to blow off some steam at the end of a very long day. So
Absolutely.
it's a nice reward for all of that hard work that you put in the first day. I know that you have hinted maybe at some pro product sessions that are very important. Without
Yes.
giving too much away, what makes these sessions a must attend for businesses that are looking to innovate?
So our pro products in general, I think, are really great offerings because they scratch that itch if you follow what I'm saying. Like FieldRoutes software is robust in itself, but there's certain areas that we just quite don't capture within the software, and that's where the pro products come in. So, for example, we have a big one with Fleet Pro, which is about fleet management, tracking your trucks, the different maintenance that may come with those vehicles, helping with what product is on those vehicles, and just keeping up with the driving that your techs are doing. We have a pro product for that beautifully integrates with the system. So it's not like you're hopping around in different softwares. We have another one, which is Marketing Pro, which customers absolutely love when they use it. It's where you get your drip campaigns in. Another one that I'm really super excited about, because again, door knocking is our bread and butter. There's a Sales Pro feature that's coming. And I think that will be a very, very big one for all of our door knocking companies out there. So I would definitely make sure you check all of those out.
Incredible. There is so much to get excited about for Ignite. Before we go, is there anything that you wish we talked about today?
As far as what we have planned for just FieldRoutes as a whole, have some really big things coming ahead just in terms of making sure that the platform is more efficient for you guys in general, and that we knock out some of the pain points that you've really been bothering you guys when it comes to routing, when it comes to reporting. Those things are all on top of our mind on how we best serve our customers and getting it done. I'm not saying you're going to see these happen tomorrow. It's software, things take time, but it is something that we are definitely into and are dedicated to making better for you guys. So I just want to put the word out there that we hear you. I personally review our NPS responses. I review the customer reports all the time, and I can tell you that it's not falling on deaf ears. So that's the main thing.
Excellent. Ray, thank you so much for coming on Pest in Class, and I hope to see you all at Ignite 2025.
Yes, please come find me.